Hi everyone, this is Manu. Manu takes care of content and marketing at Octaloop, and he's been heavily involved with a lot of DeFi stuff and interoperable blockchains. And lately, he's been too much into it, more than like I can imagine. Yeah, he's been reading a lot about it and writing a lot about it. So you wanted to we wanted to we wanted him to talk about interoperable blockchains actually. So yeah, Manu, whenever you are ready.
Sure.
The
Um,
session will be pretty standard. In the end, we can take a couple of questions, and
sure.
you can.
Yeah. Right now, can you see my screen?
I can see your screen, yeah. But it
Okay.
is if you can just click on present, that would be
Right. Okay. Hold on.
yeah.
1 second. I'll
Okay.
just. Yeah. Okay. You can see this, right?
Yes. Yes. Perfect. Cool, Manu.
All right.
Good luck.
All right. Awesome. Hey guys. Manu. Today I'm going to be talking about interoperability in blockchain networks. So yeah, let's get straight into it. So let's talk about why interoperability matters. So right now we have a lot of siloed blockchain ecosystems that are developing the same things in parallel at an extremely high development cost. So the rate of development in the blockchain space is being impacted because of this. So, I mean, let's look at this from the perspective of any sort of network. Like today, we have the internet, which started off with Web 1, which was like HTML, CSS, and then you have Web 2, which brought in JavaScript and more interactivity with the media we're consuming on the internet. And now with blockchain, we have Web 3, which is basically decentralizing the servers. So right now you have a server and a client, and the server is centralized and it talks to the client. But if you can decentralize the server and the processing onto like a decentralized network, which is basically what Ethereum did, then you can have smart contracts, so you can run programs on decentralized networks. And what basically the biggest thing for this would be to say, like, if you wanted to create a website and you had to create your own internet for that, that's what it's like developing in blockchain today. And that's like, imagine that, right? Like if someone had to make an application for the internet or like even a website, setting up an entire internet is just like not feasible economically, or in any way it would never be profitable. um, and like there are thousands of cryptocurrencies right now, and all of them have basically gone through the same starting process, starting from scratch, creating a network, getting the nodes and miners and everyone, and setting up that infrastructure, creating a use case for their application so that the token value goes up. And yeah, like I said, this is not really conducive to better development or better use of development resources, which brings me to shared resources. Like I said, you're developing everything in parallel. Starting from scratch is challenging, it's expensive, and finding a robust solution together, like by pooling resources and or like creating interoperability, bringing interoperability to blockchains would be a lot easier than creating multiple weak solutions and then trying to edge forward in terms of progress. Another thing I wanted to talk about was how standardization can hinder creativity. So when you put blockchain developers into like a situation where they're trying to create something valuable for this ecosystem, um, they're going to have limits. Like right now, almost every single DeFi application is on Ethereum. Like if you go to DeFi Pulse and just scroll through the top 100 list, there's probably one that's not on Ethereum, and that's probably Lightning Network or something. Um, so yeah, basically everything is on Ethereum, and the Ethereum itself has its limitations. Like we have the congestion issues right now with the gas fees, and also the fact that programmers do have to know Solidity. Like they can't program for Ethereum unless they learn this programming language or they know it beforehand. And especially in a situation where experienced blockchain developers aren't very commonplace. Like it's a big bottleneck in the industry right now to find experienced good blockchain developers. Um, and like yeah, especially in these situations, having to like learn a new language or like kind of alter your perspective on how these things are coded is kind of a big ask. um, and because it's blockchain, we're dealing with potentially millions, billions of dollars every single day. You can't afford to have bad developers or like inexperienced developers working on these applications. So yeah, like interoperability would solve a lot of those problems. um, Yeah, and like, Ethereum also has the ERC20 standard for tokens. So if you're making an app, you're going to have to make your token compliant with ERC20. And this also brings in a whole other bunch of problems. Like for gas fees, you have to pay with ETH. You can't pay with whatever token. So if you're making a transaction on an application on Ethereum, you have to have both the token associated with the application and the Ethereum token, ETH, to pay for computation, pay for gas fees. So, I mean, that's going to get confusing, right? Like, why are you paying for, like, in the future when we have, you can buy coffee with cryptocurrencies, why do you pay in this coffee coin and you have to pay for the transaction in ETH? That's, I mean, yeah. Um, so yeah, these are some of the projects that are flipping the script. It's something fancy with the presentation. Cosmos and Polkadot are the more, they're probably doing the most right now. Corda also is interoperable, but it's an enterprise solution, and I won't really be going into that during this presentation. So yeah, both of these projects are doing some really great stuff in terms of interoperability. They're really trying to push the medium forward, like the technology forward, saying that this is kind of how we need to be approaching the problem. Like, Polkadot, there's a bunch of things to talk about. So basically Polkadot is the flagship blockchain environment, like blockchain from Parity, who makes a blockchain development platform called Substrate. And Parity is like a blockchain solutions provider. And what they've done is they've created a blockchain that allows you to create parallel blockchains. And these blockchains are fully customizable. So they're more than just like a side chain in the sense like you can do more with it, and you can actually have like to the level of customizability. Like you can change block times, you can change mining fees, you can change, you can have all of these elements perfectly fit to your specific application. And on top of that, because they're interoperable, you're not necessarily relying on a base currency. Like for example, in Polkadot's case, the dot token, you're not necessarily relying on that to pay for transaction fees and things like that. And so these parachains are actually they're auctioned off to different development teams. So if you want to start a parachain, you have an application you want to build on Polkadot, then you can auction for a parachain, and there are people bidding for it, and they have the auctions for these chains every once in a while. And yeah, so if you want to get one of those, you have to take part in the auction, and you have to basically give them a certain number of DOT tokens, which cannot be staked anywhere else. Like they have basically the cost of the parachain is the lost opportunity cost of you not being able to stake those tokens. So you give them to Polkadot, and they keep it until the lease ends. And I think the lease can be renewed. But the other thing is they also have something called para threads, which you don't have to give them the dot up front, but as you use it, it'll charge you and you have to pay that amount. But the really cool thing about Polkadot is this crowd loans, because so far right now we've had multiple iterations of the same concept. We've had people saying, here, I have an idea for a blockchain project. This is my idea. Here's my white paper. Check it out. If you like it, buy my token. And they have an ICO. And this ICO has evolved into IEOs and IDOs and all of these things. But at its core, it's really easy to say that you're going to do something and then not do it. And while exchanges and other forms of this ICO model do eradicate some of the problems, like for example, IEOs, like if Binance conducts an IEO, you're not going to get scammed by investing in it. So like it does really, but it does make Binance a gatekeeper to what kind of applications. Like it's sort of a balance in between letting everyone promote and make whatever they want and complete control. So, but crowd loans kind of flips the script on that. It says that you can start a parachain on Polkadot by sourcing the dot from a crowd, and then this works for para threads as well, for pay as you go model. At least I think so. But yeah, parachains, I know for sure you can crowd fund them, and that just like it's a whole other way of starting a project. Like you don't even need to set up the capital, the infrastructure, all of the parachain security is handled by the main Polkadot chain, and it really lowers the cost of entry for newer projects. The other great thing about Polkadot is that you can program in any language that compiles to WebAssembly. And this opens up like a bunch of doors because, I mean, we're talking about common programming like, Rust, Python, um, C, things like that. So, a lot easier for someone who's new to the space to start off with because they probably already know the programming language. Like the usage of Solidity worldwide for like non-blockchain developers isn't that high. We also have Cosmos, which is the other project I wanted to talk about. Cosmos is doing some cool things as well, like similar to Polkadot, they're also interoperable. But they also have something called the Tendermint BFT consensus mechanism. And it's the crazy thing about this is it doesn't sound very impressive, but it actually is. So what it does is it achieves consensus in a Byzantine fault tolerant asynchronous environment. And that sounds like a lot of words. And but basically what happens is that when you have a decentralized system with all of these computers talking to each other, there's usually a central clock that sits there and maintains the time for all of the nodes. So especially on blockchain, you need to know whether one guy mined this before the other guy or whether this transaction went before that transaction. Maintaining time is not easy. And so these asynchronous systems, to make them Byzantine fault tolerant, which is basically making sure that the system can achieve finality without having every node achieve be agree to the action that needs to be taken. So this stems from like a not a it's like a sort of thought experiment, I guess. Basically, Byzantine generals, they're trying to invade a camp and they can only communicate by messages and they have to all agree. And even if one person disagrees, the system can't move forward. So you need to ensure that they always agree. And these guys are able to do that in an asynchronous environment. And that's actually really cool. Like most blockchains are to some degree BFT, Byzantine fault tolerant, but this is some really cool stuff that they're doing. The Cosmos SDK is their, the development platforms kind of like substrate for parity. Also very cool. And again, like Polkadot, the relay chain on Cosmos does handle the security for the rest of the chains on the network. And this is done. The other chains come with the IBC protocol, which is the inter-blockchain communication protocol, which is basically what bridges these other blockchains to Cosmos by adapters. So there's like a central hub, a blockchain, and then these other blockchains can connect and they can interact with each other. So you can have wrapped assets and on any of these interoperable blockchains, really, which is another a great thing that's happening. Because right now in DeFi, if you notice, a lot of the focus is on Ethereum and Ethereum based tokens because everything is on Ethereum. But with things like WBTC coming into DeFi, that's bringing it's kind of spreading the capital out over different areas of the blockchain space, and I think that's going to be super helpful in the long run. Yeah, that's really all about it. Really. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to take that.
Awesome, Manu. Thanks for that. So I've we've been asking this question to a lot of speakers. I would love to get your opinion also. Most of the DeFi platform protocols are on Ethereum. How do you see the transition happening in the future with Polkadot or Cosmos, if it at all happens? Which most of the speakers did say that yeah, it will happen, it should happen, but it doesn't look like it's happening in the near future or in 2021 for that matter.
I think if the shift happens, it will be slow. I don't think it will be a quick change. And right now, developers who are already in blockchain are super comfortable with Ethereum and Solidity because they've been doing it for so long. And right now, it's just the whole ecosystem is very developed. There's basically it's already all set there so that everyone already knows what to do. There are guides, there's tutorials. It's the most active blockchain development ecosystem right now. And that shift will happen slowly to other blockchain platforms. And I think interoperability is actually going to help with that because, I mean, you can build something on Polkadot and it can run on Ethereum too. So you're not missing out on market share. You're just opening, leaving your options more open. So yeah, I think,
Yes. But like with the raising funds, like you
yep,
mentioned about crowdfunding on
yep,
Polkadot, but that's very different from Ethereum, right?
yeah. I mean,
That's just another like Akala is doing that.
yeah,
Um,
Akala is doing this on Polkadot. Yeah. On Ethereum, it's not even possible. You have to sort of adhere to whatever standard that they have, and then you have to like either conduct an ICO or give the have the capital upfront to set up the infrastructure, like the nodes and the miners and the application
like
use.
a general blockchain that doesn't have a lot of fund and they have an idea, but they could go through the ICO, but it doesn't seem like that it's possible with Polkadot, is it?
Yeah, I mean, with Polkadot, it's more like it is possible with Polkadot, just not in the same way. Like an ICO would be more um, direct about it. They'll give you the concept and then say, give me funding, I'll create the I mean, they have a proof of concept, give me funding and I'll make the real thing. I mean, even Binance started as an ICO.
Right.
So I mean, ICOs are
As in
important
like
for
BNB
any.
started as an ICO, not like Binance.
Right, right, yeah. So then, like, crowdfunding is definitely important for the space. Like, it's a decentralized, like, no one owns blockchain technology. No one
Yeah.
owns Bitcoin or Ethereum. I mean, technically, uh, but
I think it makes a little, not just little, really complicated with regards to regulation,
yeah,
because ICOs got so much in trouble with regards to SEC and everywhere around the world, just raising funds. Some were saying they're securities, some were saying they're not securities. Some ICOs ended up giving back the money that they raised, and some ICO people were, just left with the money with them. Basically, that's what happened.
yeah. I mean, regulation
Is
definitely.
Polkadot keeping that in mind?
I'd say Polkadot is a little more. I don't know what they're doing in terms of regulation. Obviously, that'll depend on each regulator, each government, and all of that. But in terms of regulating blockchain, I think we're definitely at a better place than we were, like globally, than we were in like say 2017 when the whole ICO thing was happening. Everyone was just looking at blockchain like this is a total scam.
Yeah.
We don't do this. We're not going to go forward with this. And then 2019, the CBDC stuff has picked up. We've got, India is positive towards blockchain. I mean, there is talks of a ban, but I don't really
Yeah.
see that happening.
Doesn't really look like it's
There's,
happening.
there's too much upside, especially now Bitcoin has gone up so high. It's like beyond a lot of people's expectations, especially like the layman looking at blockchain, Bitcoin right now is like super positive about it. Like, I don't think a lot of people are
I agree.
saying anything.
And if regulations go in the positive direction, I feel like all the big companies in India, like Paytms and all these guys, would want to get on board and not to miss out. Zero Dha and all these guys would
Yeah.
want a slice of it, 100%.
Like I think like in my head the future of blockchain is going to be in the back end. Like it's not going to be your everyday user isn't going to know about blockchain technology. It's going to be something that it's the same way how we don't know how like bank systems work. Like the regular normal person wouldn't understand that. Okay,
Yeah,
there's
how
the
these visas work.
transfer. Like why do I have to wait 3 days to send a transaction abroad? Like why is there a delay? When you actually go into the technicalities of it, it does make sense. But then from a user's perspective, like it's my money, send it to this person. I don't like why are you taking so long? So yeah, even blockchain, I think, is just going to solve those problems, but it's not going to be an in your face like, hey, we're using blockchain. Like Paytm's not going to come out. They're going to come out and say we're using blockchain, but it's not going to be. You're not going to see it on the app. You're not going to, at least that's the way I see it. But with better regulation, what I do predict is like a lot more projects are going to come into the space, and with more projects, you're going to have more awareness, more adoption, more accessibility. And I mean, yeah, the whole point of Bitcoin blockchain is banking the unbanked, and I think we need.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that kind of started back in 2015, 16 when people were actually unbanked. Now I feel like in India, at least, people are banked as hell.
I mean, if you have the Paytm app, you have a bank at this point,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. So Darnell, he's been attending all of our sessions. So I mean, it's
Right.
great to have him. And he's asking if, like, I'm interested in connecting these cryptos with an ecosystem that pays for the shortage of developers. Is that an idea you've come across at all? Um,
Uh, so the problem with the shortage of developers is sort of the experience, right? It's not really
yeah,
like there are enough people who want to develop for blockchain, but if you're developing an app that's going to handle so much money and so much is on the line, you kind of need someone who's experienced with it.
yeah.
And the other thing is
And I
Yeah,
feel the shortage of developers is in the sense that, any developer can, like with this hackathon also, any developer who is an experienced developer can actually come out and start building on blockchain. They don't need a new blockchain course from scratch. They just have to learn Solidity, which experienced developers can do in like a week. But I
sure.
think what they need is like an interesting blockchain idea to like, convince them to like build on top of it. And they'll be happy to come on board, learn Solidity. Or with Polkadot, you don't even have to know Solidity, right? You just can go in
Yeah,
and start building basically.
pretty much. Yeah. As long as you know like any programming language that compiles to WebAssembly, you can program on Polkadot. I mean, Cosmos
So
also
it
doing more.
feels like what blockchain, the development side of things is missing is the interesting project that developers can, get into. I think the shortage of developers is probably not the case as much as we like to make it to be.
Right. I mean, but even if you have more developers, it's like you're going to need to audit that code. You're going to need to
All right.
ensure that it's safe and all of that. So there are like bottlenecks in even in those situations, and especially even if you are an experienced developer and you learn Solidity over the next 1 week or 2 weeks, you're still not going to be like very well versed with its nuances. Like there are going to be bugs that crop up which you would have never thought of because you haven't really worked with this language before. Whereas if you're already, you've got like 5-10 years of experience programming in Python, then like why not just use that?
Yeah.
So yeah,
He's asking also, can you talk a little bit more about Cosmos? What are they looking for?
Cosmos. I mean, Cosmos is one of the projects that I've been looking at them, and so I mean, it was started by one of the co-founders of Ethereum, and wait, actually,
No, that was Cardano.
Cardano, right. Yeah. So this was they're doing like it's not something revolutionary per se, like it's not something too different, but they are one of the only like projects other than Polkadot and like there's WAN chain, which is like I don't know if anyone has heard about it, but yeah, they're one of the few projects that are actually doing the whole interoperability thing, and they're doing it like pretty well. I don't think they have any applications or anything ready yet, and I think the IBC might still be in beta, or might still be like they're still working on it. But yeah, I mean they're just like another interoperability project that's kind of trying to do it. No one's really like got it down yet. Like even Polkadot is like they have a few parachains. They have like 100 parachains up for auction, but I don't think they have 100 projects on Polkadot or anything like that.
Yeah.
And like Polkadot has like a development chain as well. Like they call it a canary chain. It's like a test bed of sorts. So basically, like back in the day when there was coal miners, they used to take a canary in there because they would die from the poisonous gases faster. So humans would have time to know when there's a leak or something like that.
Isn't
So
that
they would
called
be able to get out.
Kusama?
Yeah, Kusama is the canary chain.
Yeah.
So what they're doing there is it's actually cheaper to start a parachain there. It's because it's a test bed chain, and they push all of the updates to Kusama first before Polkadot. So what this lets you do is if you're a small project, and even if you are crowdfunding and maybe you don't have that many people or something, and you want to you can just start off on Kusama, get the project rolling, get people to know about it, and then maybe shift to Polkadot later.
Yeah.
And you can also test out all of these features, like what if you do have inexperienced developers and there is a bug, right? Like so then you'd be able to identify that on Kusama, which is like lower stakes than putting it on Polkadot straight up. So yeah, those are that's basically
so just last question. What's your take on the NFTs? We've seen everyone, so might as well.
I think NFTs are.
Did you hear about this Twitter thing that Vikas was talking about? Like Polygon had put it on auction, the first Jack Dorsey's tweet, and this guy Justin Su is
Right.
voting millions of dollars on it. Something along those lines is happening.
I mean, if Justin Sun is doing something, then I think it's a scam. But I think NFTs, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of hype around it right now, but I don't think it's quite ready. Like in the sense, like if you can make someone's tweet an NFT and sell it, like do you own the rights to sell that NFT? Like there's so much stuff to figure out. Like,
and what's stopping someone else to make another NFT out of the same tweet?
Exactly, right? You can have two NFTs that are exactly the same thing, but they're valued different. I mean, yeah, like there's a lot of stuff to figure out. But I really like the idea of, having a unique digital token that, you can monetize. Like, so artwork, or like, let's say if you write a book, you could probably make an NFT out
I
of
think
that.
it would have, correct me if I'm wrong, but like it would have made more sense if Jack Dorsey himself would go out and make it an NFT and
Yeah,
sell it. Or like if an original art owner would come out and say this is my art and if I'm doing an NFT and then you can buy it like this, then it
yeah,
probably makes more sense. Otherwise, like
yeah,
anybody can make anybody anything NFT and just sell it.
yeah, yeah. I think it would work for things like, maybe the rights to a film, or like,
Yeah.
things that are genuinely unique. Like, you can't have two of them. So, your passport or some things like that. I mean, they're not passports. You wouldn't sell that, but you get what I mean. Like something that has to be like a contract or certificates,
Yeah.
documents, things like that. I think it would be pretty cool to be able to say that, hey, okay, so this is the rights to a certain thing.
Yeah.
You own it now. I have the token. I have the rights. But I think I like the idea. But I don't think you necessarily need to go to the whole, NFTs for that. You can do that without it, but it's a great solution.
Yeah. Right. Cool, Manu. Thank you for taking out time on a busy Sunday, I'm sure.
It was all good. I was really looking forward to
Yeah.
this, and
All right.
yeah, I had a great time.
Awesome. Great presentation, man. Great talk. I'll speak to you tomorrow then.
Sounds good.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.